This might be the worst financial situation I've ever seen. How are we going and spending $225 on just Chick-fil-A? Why are we doing that? But we're just not simply making a minimum monthly payment on a card. You have chosen Chick-fil-A over dealing with the bills that you have signed up to pay. Do you not care?
I do care. Like, before I really combed through my finances, I was like, well, I'll be honest, I guess I didn't care. But now, over the last few months, I'm like, where is all this money, like, going?
So if you didn't care before, I'm curious, like, what has made you?
Graduating college and realizing, oh, can't survive on my own and my parents aren't going to help me forever.
Okay, you started wanting to change after graduation. This was your most recent statement, though. So this just happened. We were just like, nah.
I was spending every last dime on, like, gas. Like, every day I was, like, filling up.
I can sympathize with that if we didn't just look at the statement through the same exact time of you just around and spending money on $250, which you had a minimum monthly payment of $40. You could have paid that.
I could have. I chose to ignore it.
There it is.
Okay, so she kind of tries to deflect him, asking why she's spending more on Chick-fil-A than her bills or paying off her credit card, which she signed up for. And I as well can sympathize with constantly needing to fill up gas, because you just have those months where you're always on the road, always needing to go places. And to do that, you need gas. So I get that part like he does. But this video, it really shows the ignorance some people have when it comes to simply just paying their monthly bills and their credit cards so they don't stack up into crazy debt, which, trust me, they will if you just keep leaving it.
The worst financial decision I've ever made. I talk a lot about my finances on this channel, but I too make mistakes. My first job out of college was at a large startup here in the Bay Area. This is the job I had before I joined Brev.dev. As part of my pay, I had cash compensation, which you've probably heard the numbers, they've become memes like 157, 171, etc. And then I also had stock options. This is very common for startups. They'll give you options to be able to buy the stock at a certain price, with the idea that when the stock becomes worth a lot more, you'll make a lot of money. But, of course, there's a catch. If you ever leave the company, like I did in January to join Brev.dev, then you have 90 days to exercise your options, meaning you have to pony up your own cash to buy the shares at the price that they've given you the right to buy it at, or they disappear. I decided to purchase all the shares that I had vested at that point, which was around $20,000 worth. Not even 6 months later, that company got acquired. But not every acquisition is actually a good thing, like in the Brev.dev case. This acquisition was basically an admittance of defeat. Investors in the company have what are called preferred shares, meaning they get their money back first in any kind of liquidation event. Well, in this particular case, the company sold for less than the total amount of money it had ever raised, meaning I threw that $20,000 directly into a dumpster fire. Of course, I wouldn't have made this decision if I couldn't afford to lose that money. That's like rule number one of making risky investments. But of course, it still does sting to lose that much money. I feel way worse for a lot of my former coworkers, however. There are people who put many, many years into that company, and in some cases even hundreds of thousands of dollars, because they believed what they were working on was worth something. And then due to bad leadership, it ends up becoming worthless. I've only been in Silicon Valley for 2 years, but I've already seen the best of the best and the worst of the worst. But yeah, that's the worst financial decision I've ever made. Now follow me for more content.
If there's one main takeaway from this video for everyone, I would say that it's one of these simpler things, the simpler points that he mentioned, which is to not invest more than you're willing to lose. You got to be both mentally and emotionally okay to essentially accept that there's a possibility that the money you're investing into something is money that you can likely lose. So, good on him for mentioning that. And how, even though he's okay with it, that losing that 20 grand still sucks, because 20 grand is a lot of money.
Things that can absolutely ruin your finances in your 20s. Iris, I talk about financial literacy, so follow to learn more. Pets. Pets are so cute and I love animals, but they are a luxury, not a necessity. Pets are really expensive when it comes to bills, food, other supplies. I also think getting a pet when you can't financially handle the responsibility is a form of neglect. Can't afford the vet? Don't get the pet. Argue with the wall. Luxury vehicles. It's so common post-grad to upgrade to a luxury vehicle, but oftentimes this just ties people down to car payments that they can't really afford. Getting stuck in a car payment is holding you back from saving and investing aggressively. Buy now, pay later. I will take any and every chance to talk shit about these companies. I used to think that nobody used them, but I was shocked to find out a lot of people use these. It's bad financial practice and it just encourages debt. If you need Afterpay or Klarna to fund your Shein haul and vacation, that's probably a good indicator you don't need either. These companies just try to normalize and encourage debt, and it's not a good thing. And if you want to learn more about money, follow for more.
Okay, this seems to be a recurring theme on this channel. I can't stress this enough. For most people, please live within or below your means. You know, if you're earning $5,000, live like you're earning 3 or even 2.5 or $2,000. You know, I completely agree with her. If you can't afford pets, I'd argue that it's cruel to not give them the lives and the care that they deserve. You know, you don't need fancy cars. You just need something that gets you from point A to point B without financially crippling you every single month.
What's your 401k balance, just while we're on that, because I don't have the document?
So it's like 5,000.
Okay, and is that your only retirement account? Because I don't have any others.
Yeah.
Okay, so your previous job, you rolled over into this, or you didn't have things?
So I have taken out my 401k.
Why?
Like, multiple times.
Multiple times? Why? Why possibly?
Because, like, I don't know. People have told me, like, you can just take it out. So.
Well, yes, of course you can. With penalties and taxes, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. You can go murder someone right now. There'll still be consequences.
Yeah, I regret it now, but.
Would you do this multiple times?
Like 2020 and 2019. Like, I think it was like 2 years back to back. I did it.
That's insane. What did you take it out for? Back to back years. What even contribute?
Actually, I did use some of it when I purchased a house.
Okay, so you use that towards the down payment on a first home?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. So you were able to use that penalty free.
Well, I didn't know what I was doing, so I think it was a penalty.
Well, I know you can take out of IRAs. 401k should be the same. I just want to extra confirm. Okay, so this was just my ignorance on this. No, you still likely succumb to a penalty.
Yeah, there was still a penalty with that, so...
Why? Because what you did, essentially, with the penalty, you paid a 10% interest rate at minimum.
Yeah.
On the money to put it out. Did you know you wanted to get a house?
Yeah.
Then why the was it in a 401k?
I don't know.
Well, to be very clear, with the money that's left in there, which I don't even know if it's going to stay in there because you've withdrawn twice, but either way, the money that's in there, you're desperately behind on retirement.
Yeah.
For the second half of your 20s. And you've lost and ruined because of what you decided to do. You've lost the best decade of your life for compound growth. That's beyond disappointing. Tell me about this house. What was the purchase price?
Like 130.
130 was the house. In Nashville?
No, I moved like 45 minutes outside.
Oh, even still, 45 minutes outside of Austin, you couldn't find anything even close to that. So that's actually incredible. 140?
130.
130. Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. How much did you put down?
3%.
3%? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. What even is 3% of that?
That was like 3,000.
Jeez. That's okay.
My takeaway from this is very simple. You shouldn't do something just because you can. Like you said in the video as well. You know, please, you should not be taking out your 401k all willy-nilly just to pay for random stuff. Next thing you know, you'll be 50 and realizing you can't retire because you have nothing to show for it. Just don't even start. Once you take it out the first time, there'll be a second time, and fast forward a few years and you won't even know how many times you've taken it out because it would have been such a common thing for you to do. And you won't even know what you spend that money on that you took out. It's something that you just shouldn't start. It's a bad habit like gambling, drugs, drinking. Just don't start. It's a gateway to bad things. Don't start and you'll be fine. Just don't touch your 401k. Just leave it, please.
One of my biggest financial mistakes is being a victim to lifestyle creep. I am a victim and this is such a painful learning experience. Graduated in 2022 and I made sure to celebrate. 3 months after graduating, I leased my car. Not the best decision. This was my first taste at adulthood, at freedom, so I was really living my best life. I was at every concert, every nice restaurant, I was getting every beauty service you could think of, and I took 5 trips in 1 year. It was the most I had ever traveled in 1 year, and while this year was so much fun for me, I did not realize the damage I was doing. It took me a couple of months to realize that I was living completely beyond my means. Sucks and is hard to admit in a society where everybody pretends that they have all the money in the world and is bad and bougie. At the end of the year, this is what my savings account looked like, and I literally could not sleep at night. I mean, I studied finance, I worked in banking, theoretically I should have known better. All of a sudden I had this car to pay for, and each week I would say I'm gonna start saving next paycheck, and it just never happened. Since then, I have become a strict budgeter and I have totally redeemed myself. It makes me so sad to think about where I could be financially if I didn't let those 8 to 9 months get away from me. I absolutely still have fun and travel, but now I know to leverage my credit card points and sinking funds when I'm doing these things. I'm posting this because I recently made a video about my savings accomplishments. Who am I to speak to transparency if I can't be honest with you guys about my ups and downs in my own financial journey?
Lifestyle creep is something that most people I know have dealt with. Heck, I've dealt with it. Once you start earning those paychecks, you start buying a couple things, start eating at some nicer restaurants to treat yourself, then it becomes a habit, something you can't live without, something you consider normal, when at the end of the day, it's just eating away at your bank account, leaving you with barely anything to show for at the end of the month. It's not great. Money goes and comes back, but those experiences become timeless. Oh, okay. So this comment says that, yeah, but if you're going to be doing that 5 times a year, traveling 5 times a year in the video like she did, there's a line I think you shouldn't cross, because doing it too much can affect you very negatively. It won't be a nice impact. And yeah, I understand the sentiment of live now, worry later. Money will come back, yes, but be smart about it. Don't be crazy. Don't do stupid things. That's all you can do.
What is good debt and what is bad debt? Is there such thing as good debt?
It depends on your context. As a banker, bad debts that go south. But in general, good debt is debt placed upon an appreciating asset, right? So, technically car loans are not good debt because they depreciate. But definitely credit card is terrible debt. Yes, you have emergencies, things that are critical to, your family, for whatever it may be. Yeah, I get it. Medical debt, can't help that. I get that. But discretionary wise, if it's discretionary, to get into debt for discretionary things like travel stuff, that's bad debt. Real estate's always good debt. Okay, and real estate's finite, always appreciates in general, right? Education's good debt. If it's, not all encompassing, I think some education, if you get into debt to obtain it, may not necessarily be a good idea. Some definitely are good ideas. So, yeah. It has to be an investment. Generating the debt has to provide you with an investment, allows you to invest in something because you have to borrow to invest in it, that actually gives you a benefit more than the cost of the debt in the long run, right? So you can apply that to anything.
Yeah, so this covers something that a lot of people don't really know. Most people would assume that all debt is bad. And of course, like he said, for things like credit cards, car loans, and whatnot, yeah, it is bad debt. The longer you leave it, the worse your credit score gets, and so on. It's not pretty. It's not something you want to be doing. Good debt is, as he mentioned, debt in things that will appreciate in value. In simpler terms, if you're getting more out of the debt than you essentially lose, it is good debt. If by the end of paying off the debt, you gain something, whether it's profit or a degree in a field that'll set you up with a good job for life, then of course that's good. But still, I'd say most debts are bad, and don't use this video as an excuse to get into any types of debt, if you don't have the means to pay it back.